Welcome to Moon Harbor Heroes. Today's issue is Faces, issue 16, The High Life. On the cover, Ryder, Carl, Lighthammer, and Asimov stand on a balcony of a penthouse suite high above the city. Violet Songbird stands behind them, just inside the glass sliding door. In the skies behind the team, we can see an indistinct figure riding on a massive dragon, headed for them. We turn the page and our story begins. We are opening our first scene in Lighthammer's apartment. Do you want to go ahead and describe that for us?
So Lighthammer's apartment is about as garish as you would expect Lighthammer's apartment to be. Lighthammer's colors are teal and gold, and his wall is painted teal. Like every wall of his house is painted teal with gold trim. And it's got those panels on the wall, like the panelized wall things where there's a part that's indented and then it cuts back out. And all of those are in gold trim as well. There's nothing in any of these seeming frames. They're just there. When you get into the living room, which is down the hall from the main entrance, in the center of the living room, very clearly blocking the view of the TV from any of the couches, is a 12-foot tall statue of Lighthammer. And every wall in that room has oil paintings of Lighthammer doing different things. They're both real and imagined crusades that Lighthammer has been on before, and it's just the worst. The ceiling is also a mural of Lighthammer, and it's the first Lighthammer is painted on one side, and the current Lighthammer, me, is painted on the other side, and we're reaching towards each other in the Adam and God pose, but neither of us are naked. We're both in full armor. My full armor being completely shirtless, but still full armor.
This room might break me. I'm just tossing that out.
I was just about to ask if there were Sistine Chapel references, and there were.
Fully.
Brian would have noticed that this is in the same building as Brian's home, because we shove every hero we can into this building.
This is the Star Building, named after someone whose last name was Star, Starr. Violet Songbird also lives in this building.
How does the building fit all of this?
Comic book logic.
It's every floor is tiny elevator and lobby in the middle, and then on either side is just massive suites.
Cool. And we got the whole team here with Songbird. Where is everyone in this? Let's just set the opening panel.
I think I'm sprawled out in an armchair, and the armchair also matches the teal and gold, though this is more gold than teal. And it's a 7-foot tall armchair, so it's almost throne-like.
Of course it is. Carl, Ryder, Brian?
I am looking out a window, which I assume covers from floor to ceiling.
Oh yeah, all the windows are massive and giant, just wall-to-wall glass, but they're all tinted from the outside, so you can't see inside from the outside.
Carl?
In Carl tradition, after everybody's come in, suddenly you see glittering sparks, blue glittering sparks coming from everywhere in the room, and then they all form up, and there's Carl.
Ryder is probably standing near one of the windows, just staring out into the distance.
Next to Brian?
Yeah, probably.
I like Carl's new entrances, by the way. That's good. And then Songbird is kind of pacing next to the throne. Let's just call it what it is. Lighthammer's sitting on. Scrolling through her phone. She goes, okay, the emails came in here. And she hands Lighthammer her phone. Scrolling through them, it starts out as a lot of these requests from a weird address asking for private concerts, and then become more outright threatening, just I'm gonna get you, I'm gonna get what I need from you kind of stuff.
Well, these are cheerful.
Yeah. My manager thought it wouldn't be a huge deal, but apparently that was Greyhammer. He died a long time ago.
Yeah. Well, rule number 1, and I know you know this, but I'm just telling our friends here, never listen to managers. They're always wrong. And I turn to everyone in the room and I'm I know none of you have managers yet, but if you're going to be with me, you're probably going to want to get one soon. But they're never right. Also, yeah, Greyhammer, dead, back to life. We should talk about that. How?
Songbird kind of shakes her head. It's I have no idea. Looks around the room.
I'm unsure about it. That was kind of out of left field, wasn't it?
I mean, Greyhammer died almost 13 years ago, 14 years ago, somewhere in there. Yeah, he's yeah. I'm gonna look around and be like, I'm so sorry. I didn't offer anyone a drink. Does anyone want anything to drink? I have like juice, water, beer, vodka, tequila, rum, whiskey, probably other hard liquors.
No, I'm good.
I don't know what any of those are, so I would like one.
I'm gonna give a look to Ryder and like silently like communicate like, should I give alcohol to the glowing entity, not knowing how that's gonna treat them?
Ryder kind of looks at you like, not entirely sure how that's gonna go, but sure. And it's kind of like a puzzled, that's up to you.
I go and make 3 tequila sunrises, and I give 1 to Songbird, 1 to Carl, and I have 1 in my hand. And then I'm like, Brian, do you want anything?
He turns around and takes whatever you give him and gives a sniff and then hands it back.
Not your liking, buddy?
This burns my nose.
Yeah, that means it's really good tequila.
Uh-huh. I'll have a soda.
It'll help you relax, if
I
that
get
helps
it.
at all.
Just to set the scene here, Brian is still kind of giggling over the last thing. He's not like stressed out or anything.
I bring him the soda that he asked for, and I'm like, if you want anything else, let me know. And then I'm gonna go towards Songbird and be like, so, what do you know about Remix?
She flips to the phone a bit. She's like, it sounds familiar. And she does a search. And you find the word comes up a couple times throughout those emails. It's not as a signature or anything. It's always like within context. She's like, it's not something I've heard as someone's name before. Does anyone know anyone we could call? Figure this out?
I mean, I'm happy to like put out a quick call on social media and see if anyone knows anything.
If you want to. What's the panel of Carl trying alcohol for the first time look like?
Well, at this point, this is the first time Carl's gotten a drink with an umbrella in it, and he's way too fascinated to have been drinking it. Like, he's just staring at the umbrella and the pretty colors.
I love it. And at that, we get a notification from Lighthammer's phone. It's from Max, or Rascal King. Lighthammer gets an email with those files, and scrolling through the files, it's a bunch of purchase orders and like equipment requisitions under the heading of the Remix project. A lot of it is, would Lighthammer recognize real high-tech parts?
Absolutely not.
But it is a ton of high-tech equipment parts and like various things.
Is he going to mention that he's seeing some high-tech parts?
I was about to like mention that. Is there anything else in those emails before I bring that up to the group? Being like, okay, so here's this thing about the Remix project, or is there like any narrative in those emails, or is it just purchase orders?
It's just purchase orders.
Cool. I'm like, well, this To the Max character sent me this email. It's a bunch of purchase orders from, is it from Monarch Power?
Yes.
It's a bunch of purchase orders from Monarch Power, but I don't know what any of this stuff means. It's just a lot of like technical bibble babble.
Brian puts down Isaac and walks on over to take a look.
Lighthammer is really reluctant to give up his phone, and he's like, okay, here.
I'm going to look over the list and see if there's anything I recognize, like maybe related or something that would be used in robotics.
I'm actually going to go ahead and have you... This is going to be a weird one. I want you to roll to pierce the mask, but do it with Superior. All right. On a 7 to 9, ask one. Looking through the parts, not much of it is directly related to robotics, but you're smart. You're like super smart. So even if you don't know exactly how it works, you know a lot of this is related to things you've seen like theoretical work into like dimension stabilization before. And then you can go ahead and ask your question.
Okay. What does this person intend to do?
Looking through, you find that...
And also just in the background, you can see Isaac scooping up the tequila.
I like it. Looking through the list of equipment, you realize that though you don't know all the science behind it, exactly how to do it, theoretically this could be used to shift people from different like dimensions and parallel realities.
Oh my. Okay, I mentioned that.
Wait, what? So you're telling me that this gray hammer could be from reality that's not our own?
I mean, he'd have to be. He's been dead for over a decade.
Soups come back to life all the time. Like, we've seen that. Well, we may not have seen that, but I mean, comics have been written about it, right? I mean,
I don't really
know.
read comics.
Yeah, I don't find superheroes that interesting. I mean, like fictional ones, obviously, like we're real, but fictional superheroes just are kind of banal now.
I'm a superhero.
Yes, you are, Carl.
And I think at that, like, we get the shot of Carl saying that, and he's in like the middle of the panel. The background is these floor to ceiling windows. And then we see the head of a dragon start to float upwards into into view in the window. Just a big old headed red dragon.
Did anyone order a flying lizard? I say to the group. And it's like a panel. I would say that panel shot is from behind, and you see Brian, and I mean you may see the entire group, but you see the entire group as across the room, and out the window you see the dragon. And Ryder says, "Did anyone order a flying lizard?"
Is that a new restaurant?
At that point, Carl forms up in the shape of the dragon and is giggling loudly and mirroring the dragon in front of the window.
I love it.
I'm gonna look at everyone and be like, hey, love this conversation, but I really don't want my apartment to get smashed up, so if we want to go to the balcony and fight this thing outside so it doesn't like burst my windows, I just like, there's a big statue here that cost me a lot of money that I don't want to get destroyed.
Okay, this is going to sound like a weird question, but which of your characters watch a lot of TV?
Mine, obviously.
I think his would be the only one because I'm rarely home. So,
well, Carl, you would definitely recognize this dragon. Looks exactly like a dragon on the hit MHBO show Who's Gonna Be the Ruler?
Okay, so Carl looks back to the group and giggles. TV dragon.
And with that, the dragon kind of rears back and starts, sucking in the big old gulp of air before a blast of fire. What's everyone doing here?
crying is happening.
I am dashing out to the balcony because this is my building too.
I think I'm looking around and realizing that I'm not gonna have time to make it out to the balcony before the dragon blast. So I'm gonna take the statue and just throw it through the window at this dragon.
Are you strong enough to throw a 12-foot statue?
So as she begins to try to pick it up, Ryder's actually, instead of the joke of crying, he's actually going to run over and see that Lighthammer is trying to move this. See that Lighthammer's trying to move the statue and just chunk it at the dragon for them.
I think we can do it together.
Yeah, I like that idea. I just punched my microphone. How does that sound, guys? Did it sound good?
It sounded great.
Cool. I'm gonna have a start. Later. Go ahead and start with rolling to enter battle against entering battle against a dangerous foe. Who is the leader in this situation?
Either me or Ryder.
I think I still assume Ryder's the leader at all points.
Ryder saw the dragon.
Cool. Ryder's the leader.
I'm the leader. Crap. All right, I'm the leader. Cool.
Does the leader have influence over every teammate?
I have influence over Carl, Lighthammer, and Asimov.
Cool.
Did that cover it? I think that cover it.
That covers it. And Ryder, what is your purpose in this fight?
My purpose in this fight is to get the dragon away from the house, the building.
So, like, minimize damage?
Yeah, minimize damage. That'd be a good way to go about it.
Cool. Brian?
Protect the building.
Carl?
Yeah, minimize damage seems about right.
Lighthammer?
Same.
And does anyone mistrust the leader or the team?
Nope.
I have a slight distrust of Isaac, but it's very slight.
Enough that it should count? Your call.
No, it shouldn't count.
Cool. And I don't think you're ill-prepared or off... Well, or do you think you're ill-prepared or off-balance?
No.
Nope.
No.
Really?
Okay, cool.
Nah, we got this.
We have a wild amount of team.
Just start getting Carl drunk. Does that make us off balance?
No. But where's Anagram when we need her?
I think that is the record for the most team. It's a wild amount. Cool. So, Ryder, you and Lighthammer are hurling a statue out a window. Go ahead and roll to directly engage.
Sounds like a great plan. I'm all for that. Let's go.
Hold on. Which one? Wait, which one of us is rolling to directly engage?
I'm going to have Ryder do it because I don't think Lighthammer is strong enough to do it on their own.
Wow. Okay.
It's a 12-foot statue, and you've described yourself as a bit stronger than human capabilities.
Yeah, that's true. I had to say above average strength.
Yeah.
Give me that team. Give me that. No, I'm kidding. Wait, since they're automatically helping me, do I automatically get a +1 for that?
I mean, we could spend the team. You guys have 17. So if 3 people helped,
I
you
don't
could
want to
do a 10.
spend the team.
All right, on a 7 to 9, pick one.
I'm going to create an opportunity for my allies.
Can we make that opportunity for Songbird so she can get away?
Yeah, that works.
Yeah, absolutely. I imagine like Lighthammer ushers Songbird off into like a bedroom off to the side.
Oh, I have a bunker.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I
So-
fully have a bulletproof, like, protective bunker.
Excellent. We see this statue go flying out the window. It catches the dragon like in the face as it lets out this burst of fire. Songbird slips into this panic room. We get a panel of the bolt slamming shut in it. And Lighthammer, I'm going to have you roll to take a powerful blow. I think Ryder's armor will just negate this fire.
Yeah, it sounds about right.
Cool. Sounds good.
That's
That's
a
a
7.
7. I think I'm gonna struggle past the pain and mark 2 conditions.
Okay.
I'm angry, and I think I'm gonna mark insecure.
Okay, cool. And Brian, you were very close to the window. This fire just narrowly rushes past you. What are you doing?
I am pulling out a robot, or I am pulling out some kind of a boot made for a robot, and I am going to try to use that to fly up onto the dragon.
Awesome. Is that one of your gadgets?
Could be. Would this be unleashing your powers?
Yeah.
And it's a 12.
Okay. So give us the panels. What's that look like?
The fireball just misses him, and he looks out the broken window and just swings out from his belt some kind of disc that expands into a robot leg, and he can't really I mean, it's made for a robot, so it doesn't have a place for you to put your foot in there. So he just kind of holds onto it, points it away from the dragon, and it lets loose.
You wanted to zip out and land or like get close to the dragon? Was that your goal there?
Yeah, I'm going to try to land on its head.
Awesome. So you go rocketing out the window. I think the dragon snaps at you a couple times and narrowly missing you, and then you land on its head. Turning down, looking on its back, you see that there's someone riding on it. Can't make out much details, but they appear to be wearing a dress that looks like it's made of shiny tatters of like cloth or ribbon. And we're going to cut back inside the apartment to Carl as the dragon fixates, like turns to look at Carl and starts to breathe in another burst of fire. Carl, what are you doing?
Okay, so Dragon Carl is gonna unleash a blue fire breath of his own to keep mirroring what the dragon's doing.
I love it. Go ahead and roll to directly engage.
I got a 12.
What are these rolls tonight? Okay, on a 10 plus, pick 2.
I'm going to resist or avoid the blows of the dragon, and can I take something from it and knock the rider off?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so I'm gonna do that. So resist his blows or return fire in this case probably, and then try to knock the rider off.
Okay, excellent. So we get this blast of blue fire and the blast of red fire from the dragon, and they meet midair. We're going to do straight up that Dragon Ball Z push past thing. The blue fire like then wins out in this fight and pushes out over the dragon, and the dragon starts to it bursts into a very quick spreading flame that leaves nothing behind. As it does so, it kind of bucks, and the figure in like the rags comes flying off and lands in a bit of a heap on the You said there was a balcony, right, Lighthammer?
Yep.
And landed on the balcony.
Does it land pool on the balcony? There's a pool.
Sure. Why not?
Perfect.
At this point, Carl flexes and yells, "TV dragon!"
And we're gonna cut back to Brian, who is now standing on the back of a quickly burning and disappearing dragon. Brian, what are you doing?
Oh boy. Well, see, my only real option is to fly back. So, how close did I approach the rider before they fell away?
Imagine you were halfway down the neck, and they were kind of at the base of the neck, so about 15 feet away before they launched up over you.
I'm going to try to follow them down and land basically on top of them. I want to try to restrain them.
Yeah, I'm gonna let you just run along and jump to land in the pool. Go ahead and directly engage as you land on him.
The 6.
So we get this figure in these tangled, shiny looking ribbons fall into the pool with a big splash, and then Brian, you want to go full graceful dive in behind?
Brian has no grace. Well,
Okay,
well, he has some, but he's not doing a swan dive.
cool.
Oh,
So,
I really wanted that panel.
Maybe pencil dive.
Cool. And there's just a bunch of bubbles, and we can't see anything under the surface. And then breaking through the surface, we see Brian just completely wrapped in what, when we see closer, it seems to be just reels of film stock. And we get an editor's note that says Ali Vieira Cinema. And cinema is absolutely spelt with an S.
Nice.
I am way too proud of that villain name, by the way. For those who have not seen the Cataclysm Crew games with Ali, this world's Ali or movie girl could project movie stuff through her eyes. But she has Brian tangled, and her eyes start projecting. She opens her mouth, and you hear a horror movie soundtrack come in. And also climbing out of the pool, you see, and I think everyone has seen this movie because it was such a popular horror movie, the villain from I Know What You're Going to Do Next Summer, the cyberpunk fisherman with the vibro hook. And he starts climbing out of the pool, and I think Carl's closest, and starts heading down towards Carl. Brian is being held pretty tight by Cinema. We're going to jump back over to Lighthammer. What are you doing here?
When the statue hit, did it hit and then go off the side of the building? Is it falling, or did it hit and then land back on the balcony?
I think it hit and went off the building. We probably hear a car alarm going off from below.
Okay, so it did hit the ground. I was about to be I want to stop it to stop collateral damage if I can, but meh, okay, whatever, it's fine. I want to go over to the side of the pool, run over to the side of the pool, and bring the hammer down on it, and essentially split the waters and knock all the water that Allie's in aside, and kind of drop her in a channel.
Would that hurt Allie?
I'm trying more to distract her and try to get Brian free. I was more going for my move, when you hold on, let me read it. Time for the show, when you put on a flamboyant display of your powers, roll plus superior. But I could also have that be a defend roll if you want me to be defending Brian.
If you're trying to get her attention off Brian, I think it's going to be a defend here.
Cool.
Or to knock them both back so they can get untangled. If you're not trying to, if you attack, I think you might be hurting Brian as well.
That's an 8. I'm happy to keep an 8, or I can take team if people want to spend team, but I don't think we have enough people to right now. So I'll say that I'm going to escalate the situation.
Okay, excellent. So we get this, you swinging it down, the wave of sonic energy. Is that still the Lighthammer theme song?
Yeah.
And we see that parting the pool. Cinema gets pushed off into one of the waves in the side, letting go of Brian. And our next panel is Brian hanging off the edge of the edge of the balcony by a hand.
Fantastic.
So we're going to jump to Carl right after we get the panel of Brian hanging off the edge. Carl, this thing's advancing on you menacingly. What do you do?
I see the fisherman coming, and I just really yell loudly, "TV whale!" And I turn into a whale, and I try to swallow him.
That's fantastic. I'm actually just going to go ahead and have you to roll to unleash your powers. Unroll to unleash your power. There we go. What are these rolls? You swallow him.
That's a 13.
Yeah. You swallow him. And then we are going to cut from there to Ryder. the most pressing thing you're seeing is you saw Brian go flying off the edge and is hanging on. What are you doing?
I'm gonna actually go grab Brian and pull him up onto. I guess we're on the balcony, and I'm gonna pull them up and be like, "Hey, try not to fall off the building next time." And then I'm gonna turn around and see the whale Carl and say, "Huh, I wasn't aware we were in Pinocchio either," and kind of
And
cock my head sideways.
And between you and Carl, we see Cinema dragging herself up out of the pool, and she looks down at a wristwatch, and on it we see a 3-minute timer counting down. Lighthammer, what are you doing?
Using that distraction of her hitting the wall and having to climb out of the water, I'm gonna jump across the pool and be there right as she gets up. And she's wearing a dress, so she probably doesn't have a collar. So I'm gonna grab her by the front of the dress and just pull her up to my face. And I'm gonna say, "Who sent you? What are you doing?" I'm gonna pierce that mask.
Yeah, go ahead and roll to pierce that mask.
It's not gonna be great because my mundane is a -2, and I'm angry. Someone
That's a
want to
6.
help that? Ryder, you want to just pop over my shoulder and be intimidating?
Actually, what I want to do is now you're trying to be intimidating, correct? To I'm assuming Cinema.
Yep.
I'm gonna actually phase through you and walk through the other side and have my sword spawn in front of me and say something really intimidating, like "Back off, he's mine."
Okay.
Are
Spin it
you
a T.
threatening the villain?
I am threatening the villain.
I'm gonna look up and be like, "Well intentioned, but I've got this, babe." But I do think the intimidation was enough to probably knock us up to a 7 there.
Oh, yeah. So ask one.
What I'm trying to figure out is who sent you. So I'm gonna say that's probably what are you really planning. So now that his sword is against her back, I'm just gonna kind of let her go and drop her to the ground, and then say, "Now, I'll ask you one more time. What are you doing here? Who sent you?"
And while this is going on, what is the rest of the team doing? Carl, the thing inside your whale mouth has dissipated, you can tell.
I'm calling Isaac over.
Okay. Do we get the panel with all of you right around her, or is anyone not near?
I think we're all over there.
Okay, cool. She looks up at you, and the last bit of projection from her eyes dies down, and the spooky music stops playing from her mouth. And you can her eyes dart around for a moment, like she's thinking of running, and then you can see her kind of realize there's nowhere to go, and she settles down. She says, "He's just gonna keep sending us until we get Songbird. He's just gonna keep sending us."
Would you like to relay who is sending you instead of just vague pronouns? I'm gonna press my sword harder on her back.
Go ahead and provoke.
Okay.
I have a theory, but if I'm wrong, I'm gonna kill her. So I don't think I want to test this theory yet.
All right. So that's a 10. She sighs and goes, "Remix. He's the one that brought us here. If we do this job for him, we get to start over here."
I look at her and I'm like, "Okay, so is there something you're running from? Is there something you don't want to return to?"
Oh yeah, I'm in prison over there.
Over where?
My world? I don't know. It's a lot of math, and I didn't understand it. All I know is out here, Saber doesn't know me.
None of us know that Saber knows her, right?
Probably not.
Okay, cool. Yeah, none of us have worked that closely with Saber, so poor girl. So sorry, but we don't know that. So I'm like, now, this conversation can go one of two ways. Either I can throw you off this building and we can see if you survive the fall. Or we can sit down and we can chat and you can tell us everything that we want to know. Do you want to do this an easy way or the hard way?
And if I were you, I would take the easy way. The hard way's a lot more painful.
She looks at you and goes, yeah, let's take the easy way. And it's up to everyone whether or not they notice this. She glances down at her watch for a moment.
I'm right in her face. I definitely notice that.
It's the same countdown thing, probably in the 2-minute mark.
I'm gonna look down and be like, "Got a hot date?"
She looks up at you again because no, Remix expects to be done by a certain time.
I want to pierce that mask and see if she's actually saying the truth.
Okay. She's obviously lying. Go ahead and pierce the mask.
That's a solid potential. That's a 4. Unless 3 people want to spend team, but I don't think we should.
The two of you lock eyes. I'm going to do this out of character. How could she gain influence over you?
If she has the same powers as the other Allie, showing me my biggest fear would do it. That would give me, she would definitely get influence over me, like power over me. She's also currently like, she has a knife, or my boyfriend has a knife to her back. So, you know,
Cool.
there's something in there too.
Brian or Carl, is there anything you want to do here?
I'm just gonna watch.
What shape are you taking? Is it back to be like humanoid blue?
Nah, I think there's like a whale Carl just grinning sheepishly with that typical like whale grin.
Excellent.
I think Brian wants to try to pierce the mask too.
What does it look like? What are you doing?
He's got his arms folded. He says, something still doesn't add up. Squints in close.
Yeah, go ahead and pierce. I think we could also probably get a couple panels of like Brian looking at the watch itself, because I think there's some information Brian could pick up from that, others couldn't. That's a 6. Does anyone spend a team?
Am I able to spend team to help him here, or am I lost in the moment?
I think you or Ryder could easily, without, just because of the situation we're in.
I'll spend team.
And on a 7 to 9, ask one.
What question was already asked?
I asked, what are you really planning?
Then what do you want us to do?
Looking at the watch and taking in what she's saying, it's clear she's stalling. Parts of the watch definitely include some of the technology you saw on that list. It has some kind of teleportation or dimensional capabilities.
Well, that much is not surprising.
What do you do?
I think she's going to disappear in a couple minutes. I'm going to try to take the watch off.
She starts like fighting back, trying to pull her arms out of the way. But I think with Ryder holding the sword to her back, gives up. The watch snaps off. She disappears, and you're left with the watch in your hand.
Oops.
I'm gonna look at everyone and be like, well, that went not terribly. Who's strong and can fly? I'm asking that in character. I know that the answer is probably Carl.
I can. Is this a riddle? I think the answer is TV Bird.
Are you turning into a TV bird?
Oh yeah, I'm turning into like you all recognize this bird because it's like a very famous children's cartoon parrot that appears on TV.
I'm gonna look down over the edge of the apartment balcony and be like, can you go pick up my statue for me?
I just yell, TV Bird, and I fly outside to go grab the statue.
And then I'm like, all right, so who needs another drink? And I'm gonna go back inside through the shattered glass where I used to have a window.
Moon Harbor Heroes is produced by Anthony Sheets and TP Huth, and edited by Anthony Sheets. Anthony can be found on Twitter at Icy New Year, or at icynewyear.com. T is the host of Incubator on Air, a new play podcast available on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, and Google Play. She can be found at T Huth Playwright on Twitter, or TPHuth94 on Instagram. Faces is GM by me, Anthony Sheets. Asimov is played by EXPHP. You probably won't find him at itsexphp on Twitter, but it's worth a try. Carl is played by Simon Meskins. You can find him on Twitter as Jill Bareka. Lighthammer is played by TP Huth. Ryder Typhon is played by Kaido Kane. Kaido is a Twitch personality and loves their 3 mischievous cats. You can find them at the Versian on Twitter, and as Kaido Kane on twitch.tv. Our logo was designed by Beautiful Beasties. She can be found on Instagram at beastly.doodles or at patreon.com/beautifulbeasties. The music in this issue is Black Vortex by Kevin MacLeod. A link to his website and the license will be in the show notes. If you want to get a hold of us, email us at moonharborheroes@gmail.com or find us on Twitter at moonharborcast. If you enjoyed this issue, please leave us a review on iTunes and tell a friend. Word of mouth and 5-star reviews are really the best way for us to keep bringing these stories to more people. If you'd like to support us financially, check us out on patreon.com/moonharborheroes. Supporting us there will give you access to bonus episodes each month. And thanks for helping us save the world. We'll see you next issue.